Hey, welcome to day 2 of our Patterns for Pirates Peg Leg Sew Along. This is my favorite day. I know people always say that's crazy because it's cutting fabric, but I get so much motivation inspiration when I'm cutting fabric. For some reason, when I'm trying to plan pieces, I have a vision in my head, but it always changes when I go to cut things out. It's just like inspiration strikes and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. So it's kind of my favorite part because this is the part where I get most creative when I'm actually in the fabrics and working with them. So I'm really excited about today. I'm not going to cut the fabric on camera. I've tried it before. It's kind of boring. You just watch me cut fabric. It's not that great. But I do want to talk a little bit about fabric types for this, because when I first sewed my first peg legs up, I didn't understand that different fabrics would create different effects for them. And I sewed it up with a really cheap kind of a cotton lycra, cotton rayon maybe. And then another one I sewed it with like a really thick, stiff, it was probably Liverpool now that I think about it, or Pont or something. I mean, it wasn't, they weren't great choices for this. And because I was just starting with knits, I didn't understand that. And so I want to touch base on that a little bit here to kind of help maybe anybody else that might be struggling with some of that as well. So with the peg legs, the biggest thing you want is you're going to want something that's got good stretch, but also really good recovery, especially in a waistband. If you have something that stretches but doesn't get the recovery, then as you're moving, it's going to stretch, because just naturally, no matter how small or how big you are, when you move, your body changes and adjusts, and so will your waistband. But if it can't then come back to normal every time, eventually it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and stretch out, and your pants are going to be around your ankles or your peg legs, and nobody wants that. So I really, really recommend fabric that's got good stretch and good recovery, so that because they are more form-fitting, you want them to stretch as well. So I know it seems kind of contradictory to be like, it needs to stretch, but not stretch. But it needs to stretch, but it needs to come back is the biggest thing. My favorite fabrics for this are double brush poly, but it's got to be a good double brush poly, not a thin one. So like the Luxe double brush poly from Ash and Elm, that's what I'm going to be using for mine. I really like it because it's a thicker double brush poly, and it stretches and it always comes back. So it's got really good recovery. So this is what I'm going to be making with mine. It's super soft, which is what I prefer for leggings. I either prefer athletic leggings or soft leggings, depending on what I'm wearing them for. So what's great about double brush poly is that it's soft. You get that kind of butter feeling, but it has really good recovery as long as it's good. Like I said, good thick double brush poly. You don't want, if it's thin when you put it on, you're going to kind of see through it and it's not going to recover as well. You just want something with a nice bounce back, nice recovery. Another really good one, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but Swim is really good as well because it's got that thickness. So if you're wanting more of a compression type, Swim is really great, as long as it's a good quality Swim. Again, that's the other thing that blew my mind when I first started, is the difference between quality in fabric. It's really hard sometimes to know what kind of fabric you want, because you go to Joann's and you're like, oh, this is great. It's double brush poly, but then you compare it to like Ash and Elm double brush poly, and it's night and day. So I always say, I know it's more expensive to get the higher quality fabrics, but especially in knit fabrics, it's really worth it for garments, because it's something you're going to wear. You want it to fit right. You want it to drape right. And it's just, when I've sewn with not great quality fabrics before, I don't like them. I don't go back to those pieces because they don't feel right, they don't fit right, they don't lay right. So that's one of the things I really recommend is even if it's just a couple pieces here and there, get some nicer fabric. And it doesn't have to, nicer fabric doesn't have to be expensive. You can get some really good quality fabric for pretty cheap, especially if you watch out for sales. But anyways, getting back to it, swim is another good one if you want more of a athletic type look. Athletic knit is another really good one for more of the compression. Those three are really my go-to when I'm doing leggings: swim, athletic, or double brush poly, just because they tend to have the best recovery rates, and they still kind of hold things in, which is what I prefer. I like things to be a little bit more compressed when I wear leggings. So those are my fabric tips for this. I am thinking I'm going to do this burgundy for my main and then add this watercolor gray geo as a color block portion. Now, like I said, when I cut fabric, I tend to change things. So that might change, but I'm really loving this combination together. And they're both double brush poly from Ash and Elm. Super awesome quality, super great recovery. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited. When you are done with today, please share the fabrics that you're using in the comments. I'd love to see them. I love getting inspiration from all of y'all. So definitely please share your fabrics, and I can't wait to see it all. Okay, that's it for today though. Tomorrow we will be doing the color block piecing for the peg legs, and then the day after that we will be sewing them up and we'll be all done. I can't wait. I'll see y'all then. Bye.